Alright, so carrying on with our unit. So this is the last lesson in this particular topic on immigration and extremism, and covering this this pretty fascinating but complex study on the roots of Islamic extremism and terrorism. So here we're looking at defenses against extremism, and it's really the answer lies in integration. So we're looking at how inclusion and integration could reduce religious extremism, and so we might be able to use this to fight terrorism. And if you look at Lance Padilla's talks, Padilla, sorry, not Padilla, Padilla, Sarah Lance Padilla's talks. That's really what she's aiming for. So immigration is one way that globalization is occurring, just reminding students about that. And here we're going to look at how being discriminated against is a moderating variable in this relationship between being marginalized and feeling significance loss and supporting fundamentalist groups and joining terrorist organizations. Okay, all right, I'll fix the animations on that one. All right, so there's a crossword puzzle here, so students spend a few minutes on this, or they can do it online. Hopefully by now they can answer most of these questions. And apologies if in the workbooks these numbers don't print very clearly. There's not too much I can do about that, I'm afraid. So apologies for that. All right, so now I know we revisited this at the end of the last lesson, and we can just bring it back up here again. So just a note here, there are two versions. So if they notice that this box down here might be changing, these are the side-by-sides, right? Radical interpretation of Islam, and then the support for the fundamentalist group. And then here, if you see if they can spot any differences, what's the difference between the two? And then do they matter? Are they important? And so one thing, for example, we look here, separation here is positively correlated with radical interpretations of Islam, and then over here, separation isn't really correlated with, there's no link with support for fundamentalist groups. Apart from that, the integration correlation weakens a little bit, but everything else stays the same. All right, so just a bit more of a reminder, right? So we're looking, the core claim we're making is that immigration is a driving force of globalization, right? So we're looking the linking there with immigration and globalization. So what we're assuming here is that immigration has risen in modern times, but this got me thinking, is this really the case? Is immigration on the rise or is it on the decrease? Now we would think with all the modern technology and how much easier it is to move around the world now, it would be on the rise. But you give students 5 minutes and they use the internet and see if they can find any evidence to show, is immigration on the rise, is it on the decline, or is it at a steady rate? And I think if it's on the rise, we can assume that this is a logical link with globalization as the rise in immigration, and then acculturation, etc., etc. This is a good, helpful link from the UN, and it just so happens to support the hypothesis that immigration is on the rise. Now, here's one just to get students engaging with the results of that study, and also to show that they can use this one study for multiple different topics. These 4 topics here, can they find one result and a conclusion, which the conclusion here should link that result to the particular topic, right? What does that say about that particular topic? And I think I'm going to explain that coming up in the Chalk and Talk. So you, if they can't quite get it, you can explain it here using these slides. So these are a list of the positive correlations that was found, and there's one negative correlation found as well. Okay. Now, so that's what they, so that for the results. And then, okay, yeah, so they're the results of the correlations. And then the applications, we can look here. These are how they might be applied. Okay, and in fact, what I might just go through is, I think I might have to rearrange these slides a little bit so it makes more sense in the teaching order. But anyway, you can either explain it beforehand and students write in the workbooks, or you can get students to try it before you explain it and then explain it afterwards to help them out if they need help. Now, the full study is available online, and I think it's linked in the teacher support pack as well. But it's a pretty interesting read if you want to read more, or if students want to read more about the methodology and how they measured things. Now, here's a tricky thing. Can they create mind maps? Can they diagram? Because we've got lots of different interacting variables here, and this could be really tricky. And here's where I would say, I wouldn't get too worried if they can't use this study to link with globalization. Don't worry too much. They've still got those other 2 studies with Fiji and Japan, which will make much more sense, and they'll still be able to write excellent essays with just those 2. So if they can't get all of this, then that's fine. But hopefully they can at least link it, and it could be a good study for them to use for the acculturation topic. So here, looking at trying to create a mind map of, right, so globalization has increased immigration, then immigrants have to have a different acculturation strategy, right? And then so hopefully they can create some sort of meaningful mind map. And then here, can they explain the results of belonging nowhere? So from this Lance Padilla study. So they have the, okay, so significance loss links with the support for radical group, and then so globalization increases immigration, and then what we can see with the Muslim immigrants is that if they have significance loss, etc., etc., etc. So so a good way of just creating mind maps. Now, if there's time, or if you might want to watch this in the beginning, if you like, it's okay. I think for 17 minutes, it was. I'm not sure if it is worth 17 minutes. I'll leave that up to you, which is why I put in the extension, because time's often tight. But so he gives an insight into what it's like to be an extremist. And as they're watching it, see if they can connect anything from what he's saying to what we've learned about in class. Okay, and then so hopefully students can answer this guiding question by the end of that lesson. And again, right, so can they define globalization? So sometimes, like on a small piece of paper or even mini whiteboards is a good way to do this. Now, I would remind them if they're aiming for a 5 or higher, which a lot of students are, then and they can't define this yet. I would say you're not working hard enough, right? You're dreaming that if you think you're going to get a 5 and you've had 5 lessons on globalization and you still can't come up with a simple definition. Now, again, I'll leave it up to you. If you find this is overkill, of course, skip it. But anyway, that is that lesson. And so that's the end of that topic. And in the next topic, we look at one lesson on research methods and a review. And then that will be it.